I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So moved. Is there any correspondence?
Yes. Last month's winner, Kamora Williams, won the Parkside Borough Scholarship. She gave us a little thank you note for appreciation of, for receiving the scholarship. Then the second correspondence is from Pennsylvania Department of Conservation and Natural Resources. Dear Ms. Davis, the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources, through its Bureau of Recreation and Conservation, conducted a post-completion site inspection on 10/27/2021 at the above named site. The required site inspection is a result of Parkside Borough using grant funds from the Land and Water Conservation Fund to acquire and or develop the property. The Land and Water Conservation State Fund Assistant Program, administered through the National Park Service, was established by the LWCF Act of 1965 to create a federal reimbursement grant program for the acquisition and or development of a public or outdoor recreational sites. A key feature of the program is that any site or facilities acquired, developed, or improved with LWCF funding is protected in perpetuity as a public outdoor recreation area. Today, the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources administers the program locally and is responsible for assuring compliance with the federal requirements, including inspection of each funded project every 5 years to ensure proper maintenance, stewardship, and confirmation that the project site is open for the public for recreation. In the course of my inspection, I observed the Woodlot Park appears to be very well maintained, and I was particularly impressed with the attention paid to ADA access. My inspection report indicates that this park is in full compliance with the requirements of the LWCF. I look forward to working with you in the future. Jane Lynch, Regional Advisor of the Pennsylvania Department of Conservation and Resources. And one last is from our tax person, Ed Fisher. Good evening. Treasurer has received a total of $1,128,847.66. There was $4,714.69 in revenue deposited from August 10th, 2022 to September 10th, 2022. Regards, Ed Fisher. That's it.
And Mr. Fisher had called me on my way in here, and he says, with the machine being down, the printer being down, he's going to have a hard time getting, doing his work and being able to get the taxes and all that. So we can look into getting that fixed. I don't know if it's been fixed or not, but if we can make sure that gets fixed so he can do his job. Thank you.
What's the status on that?
We have, the technician did show up yesterday. There are 3 parts that have been ordered, and once the parts are received here in the borough, they will come in and fix it. She's stating to me that it shouldn't take more than 3 or 4 days.
Thank you.
Okay, and as it happens, Mayor, it is time for your report.
Okay. So you want me to do the swearing in first?
It's up to you.
Okay, we're gonna bring Rihanna up. Now, do we need a Bible for this also or not? Do you have a Bible in your office?
Yeah, I'll go get it. One second.
I'm sorry, Rihanna, you're on the top. Your sister hold it, or your mom hold it, or it's fine.
Does mom want to hold it?
Yeah. Mom's gonna
Mom,
hold
gonna
it.
hold it.
Who's gonna hold it? Mom?
Yeah.
No, I want to be where people can see you, not me. So here. Okay, stay there, put your right hand up. Repeat after me. I, Brianna Morris,
I, Brianna Morris,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support,
that I will support,
obey, and defend
obey, and defend
the Constitution
the
of
Constitution
the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the Commonwealth,
of the Commonwealth,
and that I will
and that I will
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
of councilperson
of councilperson
of the Borough of Parkside
of the Borough of Parkside
with fidelity.
with fidelity.
Repeat it. Left hand, put your right hand up. I, Mahi Matagi,
Mahamatagi,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support,
that I will support,
obey, and defend
obey, and defend
the Constitution
the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the
of the
Constitution
Commonwealth,
of the Commonwealth,
and that I will discharge
and I will discharge
the duties of
the duties of
junior councilperson
junior councilperson
of the Borough of Parkside
of the Borough of Parkside
with fidelity.
with fidelity.
Okay, you gotta do it the same way we did. Left hand on the Bible.
Hair or anything?
I know. I, Daniel Karakowitz,
I, Daniel Karakowitz,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
I will support,
I will support,
obey, and defend
obey, and defend
the Constitution
the Constitution
of the United States
of the United
and the
States
Constitution
and the Constitution
of the Commonwealth,
of the Commonwealth,
and that I will discharge
and that I will discharge
the duties of
the duties of
junior councilperson
junior councilperson
of the Borough
of the Borough
of Parkside
of
with
Parkside
fidelity.
with fidelity.
Sorry, man. I keep forgetting from behind.
Is there anything else, Mayor?
Yeah, now I'm gonna do my report, thank you. Okay, crimes reported in August. There were 4. One was a burglary, one was disorderly conduct, one was criminal contempt, and one was trespassing. Calls for service, there were 82 of them. There were 5 for animal complaints, 9 for medical emergencies. Assist other agencies, that was 16. Domestic was 3. Accidents, there were 2. Traffic detail, 10. Motor vehicle stops, 6. Traffic citations, 2, and warnings, 1. During the month of August, only 4 crimes were reported as noted above. In each of these crimes, arrests were made by our officers. That's it, thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have call to citizens for agenda-related items only.
Mimi DiDomenico, 116 Beechwood Road. why are the lights being brought up again? 7 times they have been shut down. Once was tabled for indefinite. The first one was in May 27th of 2020. Second one was August 26th of 2020, February 14th, 2021, April 28th, 2021, August 25th, 2021, or 22, I'm sorry. No, it was 21. And the last time that it was voted no on was January 19th, 2022. When it was voted no on, why are we keep bringing it up? Is it because, Scott, it was in your campaign thing and you want to get it done before your time, or what? That's the only thing a lot of us could think of.
Thank you.
No, I need an answer.
Have you driven around Parkside at night?
Yes, I have. But they replace, on our street, we have LED lights. Because when they burn out, they get replaced with an LED light already. Am I correct?
What percentage do you suppose has been replaced so far?
I'd have to say 49 to 50%.
The reality is 10%.
And you might want to take a ride around again too. Because I know just about the top and the middle of Beechwood, we all have LED lights.
You should drive down my side.
So this map shows what kind of lamp is in each fixture. And the count is 113 lights in Parkside, and 9 have been replaced with LEDs.
That does not make sense.
No.
That does not make sense.
They are not replacing them with LEDs when new ones are being installed.
Then the vendor is charging us for LEDs, then we need to go back and find out why they're not being replaced with LEDs. And we've been replacing them for several years with LEDs.
There was, the one right across the street from me went out, and it was replaced with another high-pressure sodium. They are not being replaced with LEDs.
Then again, we're paying for it. We need to hold the.
Are we paying for it?
vendor-
I don't see bills for
We need
streetlights.
to, it's under Lenai Electric. We need to find out why the vendor is saying one thing and charging us for another.
Well, I would like to make my arguments when it's time to discuss this.
Why don't we wait until after when it's,
But I asked the question now, not later. This is
Um,
all of agenda.
this is public comment? I
Whatever.
agree, it's comment.
You do what you want. They always do.
Sarah Haynes, 18 Beach Road. Congratulations on everybody. And I'm also concerned why the lights are being brought up again after it was voted no. And I feel like this isn't being respectful of the votes that have already been casted. I feel like if they're going to be replaced with LEDs and the companies are saying that they're going to do that, I'm okay with holding them accountable and making sure that they are being replaced with LEDs. I'm not okay with spending $30,000 when we need more officers.
So, different rules of thumb.
We'll address that when we get to the discussion. Are there any other public comments regarding agenda items? Okay, we'll move on to the president's report. I would like to start out by welcoming again our junior council members. Congratulations, thank you for applying. And Community Day, I don't know how many of you were able to spend time at Community Day this year, but I think it was an amazing success. I saw lots of children having a wonderful time, which for me is the basis for Community Day, is for the kids. And then there were a lot of grown-ups that had a good time shopping and seeing their neighbors. So I would like to thank all of the volunteers and all of those on Recreation Committee for their efforts to make this a wonderful community day after not having one for a few years. So congratulations to you guys. And I don't know if y'all know it, but Phil and Jim's made the national news. Right? How crazy is that? But right here in our 0.2 square miles of Parkside, we have the best hoagie on earth. On earth. I haven't tried them in other countries, but, what's that?
Other planet, you mean?
Well, I mean, they only said Earth, so they didn't say the
That's
universe, so.
Yeah.
But, I think that's pretty amazing, and we should be real proud in Parkside to be supporting a wonderful business like that, because I know we all benefit from having it within walking distance. You can just tell your kid to go get it, you know? So congratulations to Phil and Jim's. And let's see, I had started reading something at the last meeting, and I'm not gonna start at the beginning, but it was regarding the amount that we pay for inspections and ordinances. And I know some people would like us to not talk about this anymore, but I don't think I've quite gotten the opportunity to explain how much money we could be saving if we were to explore other opportunities for our code enforcement and inspections. Because as it is, our residents pay 5% for permit fees, and our inspectors get 50% of that. And that's close to double what other towns are paying in Delaware County. Ms. Percival had made reference to some companies that she contacted, and when I got the information from her, one of the companies is in Ephrata, which is 60 miles away in Lancaster County. I reached out to them and they didn't respond. And I contacted the other one, which is 70 miles away in Bethlehem. They responded to my inquiry that they cannot serve our municipality at this time. I'm willing to bet that if Ms. Percival had found a company nearby that charges as much as we pay for inspections, she would have provided their information, but she provided information from companies that don't even serve our area. Ms. Percival also posted fees from some towns that charge as much as Parkside. She could only find one in Delaware County because of the rest of the boroughs charge less than we do. The other one she provided fees for is Londonderry, which is 80 miles away. Why didn't she provide information for our neighbors? Because they are lower than us. I invite the residents to do their own research. Don't just believe what we say. Check the websites yourselves. I will always provide my sources when I make a claim of fact. According to Pennsylvania law, no elected borough official of a borough with a population of 3,000 or more may serve as an employee of that borough. I understand that Parkside falls under that threshold. So this does not apply to our council members, but why is there a Pennsylvania law that applies to nearly every other borough in Pennsylvania? It is to prevent elected officials from voting to enrich themselves. The reason there is an exception for small boroughs is because a remote borough may not have a large enough pool of people to hire from. This is not the case for Parkside, which has many thousands of people living within a few miles. What's a voting conflict? Where voting conflicts are not otherwise addressed by the Constitution of Pennsylvania or by any law, rule, regulation, order, or ordinance, the following procedure shall be employed. Any public official or public employee who in the discharge of his official duties would be required to vote on a matter that would result in a conflict of interest shall abstain from voting, and prior to the vote being taken, publicly announce and disclose the nature of his interest as a public record in a written memorandum filed with the person responsible for recording the minutes of the meeting at which the vote is taken. I imagine there is some head scratching if Parkside officials abstained from votes that affected their own compensation. Mr. Bull regularly abstains from voting when it benefits his employer. You would think the solicitor would have told them. In June's meeting, I wanted to request proposals from other companies with full transparency, as opposed to contacting inspection companies privately as Ms. Percival did. I wanted to allow any qualified candidates to send an official proposal to serve our borough so we could all look at the proposals and make the best decision, both economically and for the benefit of the community. I suspect if we had solicited proposals privately, we would have been accused of not being transparent. In July's meeting, Ms. Percival and a resident sang the praises of Mr. Capabianco and Mr. Powers and said how wonderful it is to have residents serving our community. This began as an effort to lower our ridiculously high permit fees and costs, but Ms. Percival has claimed online that it is a personal vendetta against Mr. Capabianco. It is partly personal because Mr. Capabianco has been described to me by residents as a bully. I have heard from members of our community about him yelling at them and threatening to charge them double for work that they did not realize required a permit. I have also heard that he lets people he likes get away with doing work without paying for a permit. Unfortunately, as a member of the community and a political player, Mr. Capabianco has people he likes and doesn't like, and the residents are expected to adhere to our ordinances depending on which side you fall on. If you want to sell your house and he doesn't like you, you better fix every cracked sidewalk block before you are permitted to close. But a new resident may be left to deal with a broken sidewalk because Mr. Capabianco liked the previous owner. I have been a target of our code enforcement officer. Last fall, he came to my house to say a neighbor had complained about my garage.
She did, I know that.
He forwarded me an email from a person who does not appear to exist. If anybody can present Barbara Merritt with proof of ID, I'll eat my hat. Here's an interesting example of transparency and communication from last year when I was on council, as well as Mr. Sidlow and Mr. Swiger. The email from Barbara was sent to the office email. Linda forwarded it to her personal email and then sent it to the personal emails of Ms. Percival, Mr. Capabianco, Mr. Long, Mr. Powers, and Mr. Bull, and excluded the minority members of council. For the record, that is considered a quorum, and those emails are subject to the Sunshine Law. But violating the Sunshine Law was the norm, not the exception. Also, all the messages in the sent folder for the office email were deleted, so I guess they can't be accessed through a right-to-know request. In April, Mr. Capabianco gave me a second warning based on a complaint that was sent by Shirley. She emailed, using personal emails, that she had a complaint from a neighbor of mine who coincidentally likes all of Shirley's posts on Facebook. Honestly, we had planned to deal with the garage this year since we got our mortgage paid off, or I would have fought the way this went down with fake emails and friends of Shirley putting in complaints, because I know it was punishing me for daring to be on council. Meanwhile, there is a house on East Avon where the sidewalk is dangerous and actual residents have complained, but it has never been fixed. Ms. Percival said that our expenses in 2021 for inspection and code enforcement was $100,255. A company that serves the area provided me with a proposal last year, and they would have handled our inspections and code enforcements this year for less than $60,000. I will upload this proposal so anybody can see their qualifications and the amounts they charge. If we had hired them at the beginning of the year, we could have lowered our permit fees by now. Again, I invite you to do your own research. Ask a contractor you know if 5% is common. Everyone I talk to says we are ridiculous. Ms. Percival argued that we should not even investigate lowering our costs. She is perfectly happy spending all the extra money and charging our residents more. I am not. I think our residents are getting ripped off. And that is all I have for my report. Thank you.
Mrs. Guy, can I ask you a question? Since you've brought my name into the conversation umpteen times, can we add something on the agenda in which we slam elected officials? Because you continually bring my name into a conversation that you give me no rebuttal time.
I'm not
And let me
slamming.
ask, since you've been on council
Well, I
for a
recall
while,
every-
All right, let's not interrupt each other.
Um,
Ms. Percival, go ahead.
our permit fees have been the same since 2016. but all of a sudden, you're upset with Mr. Capabianco, you're upset with me. Why didn't you bring this up in 2020 when the permit fees were still the same at $50 per thousand? Why is it now an issue? And can we add something on the agenda and we each take time to do pot shots? We're not here to slam people over Facebook
Okay,
friends.
enough.
We're here to govern the citizens that pay our salaries.
Okay, enough. This is not about slamming you, this is about slamming the facts. And
We're not getting
as far as bringing up something that there's no rebuttal for, I was totally unprepared when you brought all your facts to the June meeting. So,
Well, I'd like to know if we're gonna have that as an agenda item. Should I bring up screenshots of your burner Facebook account?
oh,
I mean,
from
please,
how many
tell
years
me
ago,
at
Ms.
what
Percival?
point do we stop slamming each other?
Ms. Percival,
And
that's enough.
you
Let's
have-
carry on.
You spent 2 years.
Please stop.
Okay,
Stop.
no
Yeah,
problem.
we
All
need
right.
to stop.
This
Enough.
is ridiculous.
We have
Done.
junior council members here.
Okay,
Can I set
enough.
an example?
Oh,
The next report is Mr. Bull, please, finance report.
Thank you, Madam President. Motion to pay the bills.
Second,
All those in favor?
aye.
Any opposed? So moved.
Thank you, Madam President. Report to the Borough of Parkside, date September 15th, 2022, meeting date September 21st, 2022. All bank accounts have been reconciled through August 2022 and include the bank reconciliations and statements. All reconciled funds are for council approval that we just took care of. General fund for the month of August, $74,195.43 in deposits were received into the Sharon and TD Bank general accounts. Vendor payments were issued in the amount of $120,257.58, and payroll account was $54,195.58. We are essentially trending up. From this time last year, we're up 6.2%, and some of the latest bills we did not have last year, so I would imagine that'll be up in the 10 or 11% next month. So it is time to become fiscally responsible to a point, a very sharp point at this time. With that, I will report down progress for the finance report and for the open space report.
Should we
Motion,
accept
yeah,
the-
motion to accept the report, please.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. And for finance, when are the meetings?
Next Wednesday at 7 p.m.
Okay.
And I would ask if our treasurer could attend, and if there were possible, or someone from your office,
John Stillwell will be attending.
could we have someone in attendance for an executive meeting about 30 minutes prior?
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Bull, Vice President Bull, what time should council be here?
The meeting's gonna start at 7. There was gonna be,
6:30?
there was gonna be a discussion with the police committee, finance to report in October.
So I understand, 7 or 6:30?
7 o'clock is when the meeting's gonna start.
But the executive session will be 6:30?
Yes.
Well, not an executive session,
Not
but
a-
police.
Is it a police meeting or an
committee
executive
meeting.
session?
Police committee.
Please.
All right, moving along to the open space report. I only have the second page of the Green Region Open Space Grant. So I think I would like to pass it on to Mr. Rhoda. During the engineer's report, and if we have to make a motion for grant monies, we'll make a motion at that point in time. Is that okay with you, Madam President?
It's fine with me.
Perfect.
Anyone object?
Report in general progress.
Mr. Bull, Vice President, just so council is aware, I spoke with Vice President Bull about numerous grants that are out there. One is the PennDOT Smart Grant for the traffic signal sensors. We have other ones that are available that I'd like to see if we can look into. DEP has a small sewer and water grant. DCNR has a 20% match grant. And of course, we've got the Greenways grant. So there's plenty of grants that are now starting to open up that I'd like to know if we can move forward on some of these grants to help out with the projects that we've gotten so far and move forward.
Absolutely. I'm just hoping we can cover it under the engineer's report.
Engineers report.
And it was fantastic to see everyone at Community Day. It was actually really nice to hear Madam Secretary report back that we had an outstanding report for the woodlot. It is supposed to be a native area. I know that's a bone of contention for some, but native does mean native. So, you know, am I especially proud of some of the invasives that are kind of pushing their way in? Not necessarily, but there's certain things that happen that are what happens in nature. So with that, I will report general progress.
Thank you, Mr. Bull. Mr. Costello.
Thank you, Madam President. So first with junior council, I want to welcome all three of our junior council members. And we have 3 junior council members, which is a first for Parkside. So congratulations on the hard work you've put in to get to this point. And I know just meeting with them, I've met with them once, plus their interviews, and all 3 of them are really fantastic. So I hope that you'll get a chance to meet them and talk to them and see all the great work that they're doing. And I look forward to working with all of you and seeing where your interests go and where they take you with the council. So congratulations and best of luck. For recreation, I want to thank everybody that came out to Community Day. I think, like President Guy said, I think it was a great success. It was the first time I've ever taken the lead on Community Day, so there were some bumps along the way, but we made it. And I want to thank, of course, all of our volunteers who came out. So Daniel and Maha jumped right in, and they were doing tie-dye and manning the moon bounces, so I'm grateful for them. Lots of volunteers. I can't really go into detail, but I just wanted to give each of them some recognition for people that really contributed to our efforts on Community Day. Minnie DiDomenico, Kathy Ricchetti, Lisa Cotcherell, Chip and Sarah Haynes, Sue Dolan, Kyle Palmer, Matt Thomason, our elected officials, President Guy for being there, Mr. Swigert, and his whole family was there helping, as they always do at our events, so grateful for that. Mrs. Percival, Mr. Powers and his wife were there time. The mayor was there. Also, we had Beth Hale, Dean and Mike Sweeney, who always pitch in a lot of effort. My parents and my brother, I'm grateful for them to coming. And then, of course, Matt and Judy Saunders. And this event would not have been possible without Judy. So she kept me focused and kept me going in the right direction. So I'm grateful for Judy. We had a lot of vendors there, a lot of different sponsors. Of course, Crilly's. We're really grateful for their support. Pat's Pizza donated some pizza. Delco Steaks. I didn't even realize that they were going to be giving us actual cheesesteaks, so that was a great surprise. We had some demonstrations from Grant's Kung Fu and Upland. New Level Fitness was there. Our fire company had a really great demonstration cutting the car. I was really grateful to have them there. And then, of course, our dance academy. So overall, I think it was a really great event. And really, since I've taken over the committee, what I've tried to do with the committee is just bring new events to Parkside and any opportunity for people to come together. It's really amazing to see our community come together. I wish sometimes our council meetings could be a little more like our community is, but because we really have a lot to offer here, and it's great to just interact with people. So hopefully we'll bring the rest of the council along and bring that community here. There was also some questions about fundraising and expenses of the rec committee, so I just want to clarify that. Up through August, our expenses were $673.04. That doesn't include anything for Community Day. We have also raised a significant amount of money, a total this year to this date of $2,052.79 from our movie nights, community day, and then our art show, which will be coming up in October 15th. So if you're interested in participating in that and being a vendor there, or if you are just interested in attending, that's in the fire hall from 10 to 2 on the 15th of October. We're also going to be doing a Halloween walk on the 22nd in the Woodlot. And our next meeting will be October 5th in Borough Hall at 6:30. So if you're interested in attending, we're always appreciating new volunteers. So if you're interested in helping out, feel free to stop by on October 5th. And then moving on to public safety and police. The police committee continues to work to address our staffing shortages with the police department. I don't have anything concrete to report right now. We've just been having some conversations. Next week, like Mr. Bull referenced, we're really starting to dig into the finances and seeing what the cost would be of bringing on additional officers, how we can offset that. And we're just beginning that. So I'm hoping to, at some point in the next few months, bring some public discussion and comment into those plans. But we're just not at that stage right now. So there will be more to come on that in the future. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Coast. Again, Mr. Sidlow.
Okay, so we have a number of items under my report this evening. I want to start with ordinances 2024 and 2025. Ordinance number 2024 is and we've discussed this quite thoroughly already, so this is not anything new to anybody. This is an ordinance to update the borough code, the borough building codes, to the same standards that Pennsylvania is enforcing. It's generally the 2018 code across the board. This is mechanical, plumbing, electrical, building code, energy code, and also the property maintenance code are all being brought to the state, to the equivalent level of Pennsylvania, and making sure that our ordinances are consistent with that standard. So that's basically what we are voting on. Your firm has done a lot of work on this issue, and it seems to be very solid, accurate work. I know that all of our codes were reviewed by your office in order to determine what needed to be removed and what needed to be added in, and that was also vetted along with what the state of Pennsylvania is enforcing on their websites. So I would encourage every member of council to vote for ordinance 2024, which is updating that. And then ordinance 2025 is some zoning changes that go hand in hand with the changing of codes. Is there anything I'm saying that I'm missing, or is there anything I'm not saying?
No, not at all. I mean, you're right. The purpose of these updates was to ensure the borough was updating the latest building codes. And the courts of Pennsylvania being clear that you have to do it like this in a detailed manner. You just simply can't say, we adopt whatever Pennsylvania's doing. You have to take a look and actually do what we're doing tonight, which is voting to approve properly advertised ordinances.
Right, and that was what I didn't understand getting into this process. I thought it'd be a simple yes, and then that would, but I had no idea the level of work that your office had to do on this, so I'm appreciative of that.
And the only thing I would add is that the updates to the zoning code is to just make sure that the zoning code and the building codes operate together and they don't contradict each other. Otherwise, in enforcement, we would run into issues where the zoning code was completely separate from the building and property maintenance codes.
Okay. And so we're prepared to vote on both of these tonight.
Correct. They've
Okay.
been properly advertised and they're ready to go.
So I would like to make a motion to adopt ordinance number 2024, which is to change the borough codes to be consistent with the state of Pennsylvania.
Any more questions on this?
Maybe we should do a second and then you can deliberate. Somebody wants to second that.
I'll second.
Now we.
Discussion?
Yeah, so this is in the IBC codes, International Building Codes, is where this was pulled from.
Yes.
Did we cross-check it with the IFC, the International Fire Codes?
Yes, the international fire codes, all the international codes that were updated by Pennsylvania were cross-referenced in drafting these ordinances.
Yeah, so I thought some of this was already updated in the International Fire Code. Some of the wording is identical in the new IFC. It's the only question I have.
I think isn't this supposed to match our code to,
To the IFC.
Okay.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah.
so it should match, right?
Yes.
Okay. Just make sure we're matching the IFC with the IBC then.
Any other questions?
Is this something we'll have to do frequently? Because once they become updates, do we still have to do the regular advertisement? Because it was
You
like
do.
$750 in advertising.
We do, and it's, sorry to interrupt, there is a recent Pennsylvania appellate case law where it was Williamsport, where they just, adopted this and we're just gonna do the updates. And somebody, a property owner didn't like the updates, didn't like the extra expense, so he took them to court, and it must have been a big enough project that he fought them all the way, I think, to the PA Supreme Court, and they said, yes, borough councils have to look at things in detail, and there has to be a motion to approve the actual specific language that's being put. So,
No, I agree with that. I just
Okay.
know, in some cases, when it's an amendment to an ordinance or a resolution, they can be proceeded upon without regular advertisements and things of that nature. And that would save us a lot of money. If this is like a 3-year thing.
Yeah, I mean, look, first of all, you can update it as frequently or as infrequently as you want to, so there's no requirement that we do this every year.
Also, the state of Pennsylvania doesn't update every year. So the new enforcement from Pennsylvania went into effect, I think, February or March, somewhere in that time frame. And so the next time the state of Pennsylvania moves forward in their code cycles, that's when we would have to do it. So that's generally on 3-year cycles. So Pennsylvania is doing 2018 code in 2022, maybe 2026 when they adopt the 2021 code or something like that. So we don't have to do this until Pennsylvania moves forward again.
Thank you. And do we have to advertise this also? It was advertised.
This has already been advertised.
So it's already been advertised. So we spent $1,000 to advertise this, and it's already, in my opinion, it's already updated in the IFC. We're talking about saving money here. I don't understand what we're trying to do here.
But I think what the solicitor is saying is we would be open to lawsuits if our codes didn't match the international codes.
It's already covered in the IFC.
I understand, but you can't say just because they updated it, that it's automatically updated on a code. Again, that's what Williamsport tried to do.
So from here on out, we have to do that with every code that's updated.
Yes, if you want to enforce the updated.
That should have been done. That should have been done every time previous.
Okay.
Okay. Shall we vote? All those in favor? Do we need a roll call vote? I don't know. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved.
Okay. So now I'm going to make the same motion for ordinance 2025, which is to update the zoning codes in conjunction with the building codes. Second.
Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? So moved, thank you. And
Okay.
another one, right?
And now, there's 2 big stacks somewhere on the desk. Is there 2 to make or just the one?
There's 2. There's one out front and then there's one up front.
Okay. So this is a 70-some page document. This is the stormwater ordinance. And again, we've talked about this at the last several meetings. The Delaware County has proposed new stormwater regulations and have asked all the municipalities in Delaware County to adopt their suggested ordinance. And so I have done a review of it. I've asked others if they had any questions about my review. I believe our Rudolph Clark has looked it over.
Correct.
And Mr. Rhoda has looked it over, and we had several conversations about it. So people who know what they're talking about involving stormwater seem to have written this document. It seems very detailed and well thought out. And I don't know any of it being wrong, so I'm taking people's word for it that this is accurate on the right way to manage stormwater. And again, every municipality in Delaware County is voting on this ordinance this month. So I'd like to make a motion that we adopt the stormwater ordinance.
Questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Thank you.
Okay. So, I want to clarify, there's a bullet point on this agenda. It says motion to approve budget streetlights for project for 30K. It's the top line on the second page. That is not supposed to be on this agenda. That was left on by the secretary after a request or two to have it removed. So we are not voting on any money tonight, okay? So,
So this will be tabled.
no,
Okay.
it's just not,
Shouldn't even be on the.
it shouldn't be
agenda.
on the agenda in the first place.
Okay.
Okay, so that, the line item on the top of this page is not being discussed.
Okay.
Okay, but we are going to talk about streetlights. So I've received an email from the Delaware Valley Regional Planning Commission letting me know and letting the Borough of Parkside know that they are opening up another round of the regional streetlight procurement program. Okay. Now, I know this meeting started with, why are we bringing these up again? And the reason we're bringing it up again is because we still don't have high-quality streetlights. And I feel like we should discuss it again. When I first started bringing up streetlights a few years ago, when I first was elected to council, many of Delaware County's communities had changed to LED. But today, however, just about every municipality in Delaware County has changed to LEDs. And the reason they have changed to LEDs is because it's a higher quality of lighting for the community at a lower cost and longer operational time and less maintenance because of the longer operational time. Okay, there are so many advantages to LED lighting over the high pressure sodiums that we have, and we have the worst lighting of any community that surrounds us: Upland, Brookhaven, Chester. If you walk down my street, which is Beechwood Road, and you go from Parkside into Upland, as soon as you cross into Upland, you can see the difference in the quality of lighting in that community versus what we have, okay? There seem to be many people on this council who feel that having lower quality lighting is good for our community and that we should not update, and I'm not quite sure I understand the logic of that. I hope those council members will state their reason why they object to this proposal before they vote. Now, many of you know Kyle Reedy, and she loves digging into the Daily Times and from old newspapers. So she shared a Daily Times article from October 3rd, 2001, so just after September 11th. And it's a lovely little article. I'm sure it looked better when it was in a newspaper instead of on, just printed like this. And they talk about the Parkside Town Watch and something that they were doing with the Town Watch. And there was a complaint about a vacant house and footings for the new elementary school, which is what the school that we have now were just placed in the ground. And they mentioned that the school was scheduled to open in September of 2002. Council accepted DeMarco's bid of $59,000 to resurface Garrison Avenue and Tom Sweeney Drive. So the road program was being done back then. And it says Parkside will replace the mercury headlights on its streetlights with sodium vapor heads within the next 2 years for energy conservation purposes. The program will cost the borough $24,000, but will result in savings on energy bills. Shirley Percival, new chairman of the property committee, said. Okay, so that was 2001. Okay, that is the last time this borough took a comprehensive look at our streetlights and made a change. I have a map here of Parkside Borough's streetlights. This is provided to us by Lenai Electric, who since 2001 has been our vendor for when streetlights go out or any maintenance needs to occur. And they have given me a set of measures here. And as I said earlier on in the meeting, there are 113 streetlights in Parkside. And of those 113, 9 have been changed to LED. They have not been updated, as has been said at this council meeting many times, with new LED heads. Okay, and so as was said in the article, we have high pressure sodium lights. Now the thing about high pressure sodium lights is they will last a very, very long time. But the problem with them is they gradually get dimmer and dimmer and dimmer. So over the 20 years, we have just been living with the lights and we have not noticed that they are getting dimmer and dimmer and dimmer, whereas new LEDs will be brighter and bring on higher quality light in this community. I do not believe that Parkside is an unsafe community, but if you believe that brighter lights leads to safety, then LED light bulbs is a good strategy for us. Now, in 2019, Council President Percival asked Lenai Electric for a quote for streetlights. Okay, and Tamika, I apologize. You printed a whole bunch of papers. I only meant the first page. That was my fault. I apologize for that. But if you look at the Lenai Electric proposal dated 2019, the total cost of 114 light bulbs is $50,000. So that would be estimated if Lenai Electric were to just be hired to purchase the light fixtures and replace them all at one time. Okay. So there is an organization in the Philadelphia region called the Delaware Valley Regional Planning Commission. And the purpose of the Regional Planning Commission is to coordinate counties, municipalities, and to give practical solutions to communities to make good choices and to do them in an economically feasible way. So they developed this streetlight procurement program, and you have a flyer here. Council has a flyer for the streetlight procurement program, and this describes the benefit of LED streetlights and a summary of the program. And it also lists the phases of the program and all the municipalities that have participated in the program. Okay, and as you can see, it's quite an extensive list of municipalities that have participated in this procurement program. Okay, not everyone who has changed to LED lights has used the procurement program, but these are all the municipalities that have used the procurement program. Now, the procurement program is approved by co-stars, so we don't need to get additional bids, okay? And it's a 4-step program. Today, I am proposing step number 1, which costs nothing, okay? And before one streetlight will be changed in this municipality, there will be 3 votes. Tonight would be number 1, and then if it passes, there'd be another vote and a 3rd vote. Tonight's vote is simply to sign this letter of intent, which says that if we buy streetlights, we intend to use the Regional Planning Commission's program. Okay, that's all it says. So if we sign this letter of intent, they will then come with a presentation. We saw that presentation in January. Unfortunately, it did not pass. That was the previous round. That was round 2. This is round 3, which is why I'm bringing this up again today. Okay. They will then give us a presentation on the cost and benefits of streetlights, and then we will have a chance to vote whether we want to move on to the second step, which is to have the lighting engineers check out every single street lamp in Parkside, figure out how high it is, how far it is from the pole to the left, how far it is from the pole to the right, geo-tag it, and all kinds of sophisticated things that are going to happen with the streetlights. And then we will receive the engineering report back, and it will also, before we approve the engineering report, we will have an estimate of what it will cost us to replace streetlights, okay? Now, the proposal we had in January, which has probably gone up because we have delayed, was for about $30,000 through this procurement program for streetlights. Now, I want to remind you, Lenai Electric in 2019 suggested $50,000. This procurement program, 3 years later, is suggesting $30,000. That is a very effective way to purchase streetlights, much more so than having our current vendor replace them one at a time. Okay, so again, following the Regional Planning Commission program, once we vote to go to engineering will be done. Then a third vote will come up, and we will vote to actually allocate the streetlights. Now, in terms of paying for the streetlights, in our municipal government, we have 2 pools of money. We have our general fund, and we have our liquid fuels fund. The liquid fuels fund is when we pay gasoline taxes for filling up our cars, the state of Pennsylvania collects it, and then they allocate it back to the communities to spend on things that, on the road infrastructure of the community, okay? So it pays for the road program. That's what our biggest use of liquid fuels funding is. It also pays for the electricity to pay for the streetlights. It pays for the salt and the winter maintenance on the roads, and something else I'm forgetting. What am I missing? Anybody know? Anyway, that's the general idea of what the funds are used for. Okay. Now, every year we get about between $40,000 and $60,000 in liquid fuels fund every year, and every year we take that $40,000 or $60,000 and we pave 5 blocks of our community, and we do that every year. Okay. So if we were to move forward in 2024, if we were to move forward, then we could use half of our liquid fuels dollars to pay for the $30,000 that it would cost to replace the streetlights, and either do a smaller road program or just bank those dollars until the following year when we could do a larger road program. Also, since our electric bill will be lower with LED streetlights, we will have more money every year after 2024 to invest in our roads, okay? Also, if we do 5 blocks a year and we have in 20 years, which is the length of time that the streetlights haven't been replaced, that means we've paved 100 blocks over again, okay? Are there even 100 blocks in Parkside? And does a street deteriorate that fast, right? A street should last a pretty good length of time, okay? As Mr. Powers said in a recent meeting with public comment, he said, he's in charge of public works. He said the streets are in very good repair. We are doing the road program this year, but we really had to search high and low to figure out what streets we were going to do the road program on and what streets we were not going to do the road program. We're desperately looking for roads to pave. Well, I believe that we should not desperately look for roads to pave. We should take a year off, invest in our infrastructure, not just our road infrastructure, but our lighting infrastructure, and replace the streetlights. So I'm asking this council to not spend $1 tonight, to just simply investigate the benefits of streetlights by having the Regional Planning Commission come in and talk to us about what they would do. They'll give basically the same presentation we had in January. I'm sure we can ask them to curtail it if length of time is your objection. But I would like to make a motion that we sign the letter of intent for the Delaware Valley Regional Planning Commission for the streetlight procurement program.
Do we not have rebuttal on your conversation?
Well, we have to get a second and then we can discuss.
Sure.
Second,
Second.
thank you. Would you like to say something, Ms. Percival?
Most definitely. Mr. Sidlow presented to council September 24th, 2019 estimates in which I requested from Lenai Electric. And may I ask the secretary to contact Lenai Electric and find out why they're not putting in LEDs? The last 3 years they were supposed to, please. This estimate includes miscellaneous materials, environmentally responsible lamp disposal. It also includes solid state photocell with surge protection, heads, material, and labor. So let's define that total cost. Also, may I add that I sent an email out to everyone on council. There's a grant out there, it's called the MTF grant, that's opening up with a 30% match. Instead of spending $30,000 out of liquid fuel, and I'm using Mr. Sidlow's $30,000 as a round figure, it would only cost us $9,000 out of liquid fuel versus $30,000, thus saving money. Also, and we've all been through these proposals 6 or 7 times now. My question is still, the heads are included, but not the new conduits, new wiring, new poles, and the new light heads are the only thing that's eligible for liquid fuel to be paid for. And if you check with PennDOT, you will find that conduits, poles, wiring is not permitted to be taken out of liquid fuel money. So therefore, general fund will have to spend money on this project. Of course, we all know it's a $2,400 project with the 5% program fee, 3% program fee. And in their literature that we've all read before is that this only reduces the energy by 50%, reduces maintenance by 50%, and our payback time is 10.7 years. So I think council should be very concerned about spending money on liquid fuel when there's another option here, which is the MTF grant that will be much cheaper for the borough.
Mrs. Percival, you say it takes, it's a payback of 10.7 years. But what other investment can we make that will pay itself back in 10 years and then start earning on an investment?
I think if we continue to spend, and that's why I'm very concerned that Lenai Electric is not turning these into LEDs. If we continually upgrade LED lights at the rate of 5 to 10 a year, then we're moving forward. But we also have 5 major projects that this council is involved in. Hiring police officers, which would be MMO increase coming up.
Different pool of money.
The salary, the beacons, the road program, Edgeland Avenue sinkholes, West Pole Memorial. My thing is, and again, I sent this to council on September 13th, asking everybody to check out the MTF grants. The grant is currently open with a 30% match, which is eligible out of liquid fuel for the heads only. Conduits, wiring, poles are not allowed through liquid fuel.
But so the way we're doing it right now is replacing each one, which this proposal from Lenai Electric is if they did all of them, it would cost over $51,000 by these numbers. So, but doing them all at once is going to save us more money than doing one at a time. So their proposal for all of them is going to be cheaper than to do each one individually. So if we're doing them each individually, then we're talking more than the 51,000, and this number is already significantly, almost double the $30,000, which the regional planning would give, because regional planning gives a pool of even more people to pull from. And we got a.
But it's only for heads.
We had a.
This is,
No, well, this was the total
this is all
cost.
inclusive.
No, this was the total cost from when he gave the presentation. That was the total cost.
It does not
And
include conduits, wiring, or new poles.
We just had a street light go out, and Lenai Electric gave us a number, and I want to say it was over $1,000 to replace one head. So replacing them individually is over $1,000 a head. We have that's $113,000. So I think it makes sense to do them all at one time and save money.
Well, then why is Lenai Electric telling us 104?
Because this is to do them all at once.
But what I'm saying is you have to look at what's eligible out of liquid fuel. Only the heads are
Right, but
eligible
when
out
he
of
gave
liquid
the
fuel.
proposal-
Everything else is going to be out the general fund,
When
which
the-
we are maxed out.
When the gentleman was here, most of this money could come out of liquid fuels. There was most, yeah. Now it was maybe I think $6,000, something like that.
It was the $2,500 engineering fee.
But the conduits, the wiring, the
There's-
poles
but
are
there's-
not
but there's no-
eligible for liquid fuel.
Right, but look. We don't even need to discuss the conduits and the poles at this point in time. Because all we're doing is saying, would you please come in and tell us what we need and how much it will cost? That's all we're asking to do. You're objecting before you have a chance to object. Like,
I'm
I
not
don't,
objecting, I'm
President.
throwing out information.
I see it starting into a 3-hour meeting again, so I'm
Mr. Rodo can clarify a little bit about.
So I was involved in a couple of the programs, and for things like wiring, they do usually encourage the municipality to put up a contingency fund. I've seen $5,000 for when they go out and do the investigation, whether or not there's frayed wires, maybe a damaged pole, or the arm from the pole to the lamp. And that would be under the contingency, but you really don't know what's wrong out there until they do the investigative part of the project, so.
till they do the engineering. I'm just trying to get to the engineering so then we can actually vote on $30,000. We're 2 votes away from voting on $30,000.
Anyone else?
Madam President,
Yes, sir.
I have taken notice I go to work in the dark, so I do notice these programs. A lot of them, I don't think they're the standards. I think if we finish a few projects that we have in place and we actually go to county and things like that, just the same way we did some of the streetlights that are the architectural iron and a few things like that, we actually improve our community. And it may take a little bit of a deeper breath. It may take just a little bit longer time, but this would be an entirely desirable community if instead of throwing a new fixture, new light bulb on an old telephone pole, our telephone poles are 70 years old, or whatever you call them, street light poles. So they're absolutely moving in that direction. We start to put together a level-headed plan to replace them with something that's architectural. They did it in Prospect Park. They've done it in a bunch of other places. And holy smoke, it really improves what people, how they feel about their community. And this is just a personal standpoint. I think the LEDs illuminate in a slightly different way, so there is a possibility where you get a better light quality out of the lights that we have, even on the street.
Are you really?
No, yeah, absolutely.
I can't even see
think
my
that's-
daughter 3 doors down from my house.
Well, I mean, we've also had people come here and say that let's turn down the lights so that the pests can migrate. We've had people here complaining that the lights in the woodlot were too bright. So there are 2 sides to the story, and I don't mean to interrupt you as far as that goes, but we have 5 projects underway that are significant, and I'm not taking sides. It's not political. I truly, just from a financial standpoint.
All right, I think we can do more than one thing at once. In the
We
meantime,
have-
shall we vote on the letter of intent? Roll call vote,
I still have a
please.
question.
Oh, you have another question? Thank you.
Why are we not pursuing the match that Mrs. Percival just talked about? Why are we pursuing something that's gonna cost us $30,000
Can't we do
compared to
Well,
$9,000?
we still have the opportunity to seek that match
Okay.
after we vote on this. This is just moving a step forward, okay? And, in general, I asked the head of the program about seeking matches. She said it's very unusual for municipalities to get matches. It's most commonly funded out of liquid fuels. And she also advised against getting a match on a investment that saves money, because you're better off seeking grants for things that don't have paybacks. Whereas, as Mr. Costigan pointed out, this is the only investment we can make as a community that will save money over time, whereas paving the streets doesn't save us any money ever.
Okay, I think we're done. Let's vote.
Roll call?
Yes, please.
Mr. Bull?
No.
Ms. Percival?
No.
Madam President?
Yes.
Mr. Costigan?
Yes.
Mr. Swager?
Yes.
Mr. Powers?
No.
Mr. Sidwell?
Yes.
Thank you. Vote passes.
Vote passes.
Thank you, council.
Okay. And Scott Jennings.
Oh, this is me again. I'm lost. Where's mine again?
License and inspection.
Okay. Now that we have updated the borough building codes, I think it's a good time to get together a meeting of the building code department. So I will schedule that in the coming weeks, coming days or weeks. I have been super swamped at work and have not been able to figure out when to have that meeting. But we'll have a meeting to get that going. The licenses inspection report is 4 building permits, 2 plumbing permits, no electrical permits, 5 use and occupancy, and 1 reinspection.
Okay, thank you. Code enforcement,
General progress.
thank you. Mr. Powers?
Yes, thank you, Madam President. Public Works, all properties have been maintained within the borough. As promised from the last council meeting, all crosswalks are painted along Edgemont Avenue in the school zone. Ms. Sweeney brought to our attention again that there was a pole sticking out in the woodlot that is believed to be part of a bench. We are going to fix the bench instead of removing the bench. So as soon as the supplies come in, they're on order, the Public Works Department will put a new bench in place. Kind of right into health and the other agencies, Madam President.
Go on.
Health, I can report general progress. Fire, general progress. Emergency management, the emergency management plans for the Parkside School have been reviewed and approved, and that's all I have.
Thank you very much. Ms. Percival?
Thank you. Our trash for August was regular trash, 113.87 ton. Our recycling was up for August at 21.79 ton.
Are we doing leaf collection this year?
That's up to the property people, property committee, to see if that would be set up. Buildings and grounds.
Mr. Powers?
I'm sorry.
Leaf
Oh.
collection,
Didn't hear you.
did we start a leaf collection yet?
Oh, no, we won't start leaf collection until October.
But we are having a leaf collection
Yeah,
starting
as
in
long
October.
as the county will allow us to dump leaves, which I haven't heard they were. So we will have a leaf collection.
Okay. Communications report, Mr. Swider.
I want to thank everybody that contributed to the most recent newsletter. If you have any kind of pictures from Community Day, we greatly appreciate it if you could forward them to me or Mr. Costigan, because he's kind of getting all the Community Day information there. There will be another meeting for the Communication Committee Tuesday, September 27th, 6:30 PM here in the council. Other than that, I can report general progress.
Thank you. And the last issue looked amazing. Thank you very much.
Councilman Schreier, I sent you a correction. I sent everybody a correction through email on the article that was in there.
Looking into.
Thank you.
Okay. It's your turn, Mr. Roden.
Thank you, Madam President. Engineers report 2022 road program. For the beacons portion, design plans have been revised to show solar beacons as opposed to the hardwired beacons after receiving new information, cost information, and checking with council and getting their prerogative on that. The permit plans have been submitted and we are awaiting PennDOT's review. Paving portion, as we know, AF Damon has been awarded the project, and work is scheduled for the second week of October and should only take 1 or 2 days to complete. Edgemont Avenue sinkholes, a survey is complete and engineering design has been started. As far as the grants, as we've touched on a little bit here, Delco Greenways applications can be submitted now through October 7th. It's a very short window to apply. And I know there's been some conversation whether or not to try to get funding for the remainder of the Wesley Cole project, and it's up to, but we have to add it to the agenda.
Right, so you want to add something to the agenda?
This was actually under mine, and I tabled it until the engineer's report. So I would like to make a resolution, or make a motion. We don't have a resolution number on this one yet, but it's a short timeline. To submit the grant application to the Borough of Parkside, Delaware County, for the Wesley Cole Memorial Park Improvement Project. Don't have the direct fundings, but I do know that it was discussed frequently.
The remainder, I believe, is approximately $30,000 the last time the cost estimated was looked at, but it's been a little while now. And there have been some increases. So,
27,400.
thank you.
So first we have to have a motion to add this to the agenda.
I think it's
Well, no,
already
it's
on
on the agenda.
It was
It's
on
just here.
Mr. Bull's section.
It was just pushed to later up. Later item.
Sorry about that.
That's all right.
Right for a moment.
Glad you have us.
No.
All right, so Mr. Bull made a motion.
Oh, good.
Would anyone like to second it before we discuss?
I'll second.
Second.
Okay. Discussion.
So your motion is that we should apply for a Green Region grant? That's the.
Greenways, yes. Green
Greenways.
Region Pico, which I'll speak about in a minute. Yes.
So the motion is to apply for a Greenways grant, and that's for the Cole project. And the only thing I know about the Cole project is that there's gonna be a Christmas tree.
These were upgrades. There was an evergreen proposed as far as that goes, but it's been 20 plus years since any work was done. I believe there's some upgrades to the steps, there's upgrades to railings, there's a few things that done. If we can get it, it'll be a benefit to the community as far as it's right there. They could have welcome to Parkside sign on both sides of really cool.
Lighting and benches as well.
Landscaping, LED lights.
Yeah.
So, we already have some money for this project, right?
2019 Delco Greenways was allocated $9,350, and that agreement expires at the end of July of 2023. And there's a 2020 Pico Green Region grant of $5,000, which expires this coming December 7th, which I believe all of council saw that we just need an email to Estelle Wynn Dolan from Natural Lands to just request an extension on that deadline.
So you're saying we have about 14 of the project already allocated, and we're just trying to add to?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions?
There is no match, by the way, on that.
And this is the $10,000 one?
No, I think this is
No,
Greenways.
this is the Delco Greenways grant.
Oh, that's this. I don't believe it's all minimum. I think there's a maximum of 250,000. but-
Correct.
Yeah, nice. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved, thank you.
Okay, next we have a DCNR Recreation and Conservation Grant. They're accepting applications for a special fall funding round until October 27th. There's a required 20% match. I don't know how much sense it makes to apply for both. If you get both, I'm not sure if there was any other projects that council would consider, but that grant is available as well, the 20% match.
Now, that grant, could we get some of the rain gardens that were proposed under the MS4? I think it was the MS4 plan that was presented back in January. Could some of those projects be covered under that grant?
They do mention mostly park rehabilitation in a lot of them. Community parks and recreation projects that help rehab existing parks and those that improve access for all, tree planting, lawn conversion, repairing buffers, so I believe that will come under that.
We could use something like that for the, to help with our MS4 project down in the woodlot with the rain garden or any of the buffers that we could use down there.
Can we use any of the grant money as match money?
But no, for the same project. No.
So
But I
we
mean,
don't
what-
have,
Sorry.
do we have a definition of this rain garden project? Like, I haven't seen anything right, we've talked about it in general. Do we have a plan?
There's definitely a specification that they want us to
Yes.
hold to as far as how much water it'll capture. And it was discussed when we talked about the street sweeping and a few things like that. I can't remember.
And Kristen came in
Kristen
from
came in
our office to
and
discuss that.
We have to comply within 5 years with our
Right.
MS4
So,
program.
but if we can get
Grant money to help.
grant
would
money
be
to help
wonderful.
offset most of the costs, I mean, yes, there's a 20% match, but rather than doing the entire rain garden ourselves, if we can get anything,
20% is great.
at least to start heading towards that MS4 project requirement.
And we can budget that 20, I mean, the grant's only opening up, so we know we put in that 20% match just for the rain garden area in the woodlot. We can put that into next year's budget.
There is a minimum of a $50,000 grant request, so it'll be a minimum of a $60,000 project with the 20% match.
See, I was under the impression that we received the grant last year, which still doesn't seem to have been funded yet by the county, according to your conversations. We were supposed to have a open space plan developed for Parkside in this calendar year, which would then give us projects that we could seek grants for. But it seems like the funding for the open space project that would create new projects to seek funding for has never moved out of the county's office.
Yes, that is correct.
That's correct. So I feel like we're cart horse situation here where we need a plan to give us projects, but we have the opportunity to ask for money without well-defined projects.
I mean, this is a special round, and the new round will be coming up, right after the new year, so.
It doesn't hurt to apply.
And we received notice December of 2021 that we received that grant, but it's still stuck at the county level.
Yes.
So if we have free money, and everybody knows how I feel about free money, I mean, we've got to apply. These grants are starting to open up where they were closed for the last couple of years. And if it's a 20% match for a project in the woodlot that conforms to our MS4 projects, which expires in 5 years, then I think it's something that we should look into.
Can you're the grant writer, do they accept vague proposals or?
Well, I don't think,
We're
I
not
don't think,
vague. We
it's
have-
not a vague proposal because
Yeah.
we already have the detailed MS4 with specific project
Lined up.
suggestions
Mhm.
already lined up. She suggested several rain gardens, and I'm drawing a blank for that little triangle that's over.
Yeah, Big Island.
I know that was one that I think would have covered all of the MS4, but we had to look into whether we could do something there.
Right.
I know the woodlot was one that was proposed that we don't, can still go forward with that. So even if we just start with the woodlot,
And go forward. We have 5 years to comply with the state's requirements for our MS work. And if we can get a grant and only pay 20%, we can budget that for next year's budget. Hopefully projecting that we get some of these grants. I mean, there's a lot out there. There's a lot of grants out there. DEP has a small sewer and water grant coming up. Community Watershed and Forestry has a grant coming up. So there's plenty out there, but we need to pick and choose what suits us for the Woodlot or West Cole and look at what the matches are. The, DCNR grant would be great. Some of these are wonderful grants.
Okay, so we have a motion out, right?
Oh, we had a
Make a
second.
motion. And we got a second.
Now we have to vote.
Are we ready to vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved.
That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you.
May I ask the engineer to look for the grants that we were just talking about to move forward with our woodlot projects?
I did write down small sewer. Which one were you specific? I did write down the small sewer and water, the MTF grant.
DCNR, we have the DCNR coming up.
Well, that wasn't DCNR, I just wrote it
Right.
on.
We have the DEP grant. And PennDOT also has a grant called the SMART Grant for traffic signal sensors to be updated. That just came out yesterday. I don't know if you've seen that.
Is that the one Ms. Catania emailed about maybe 2 weeks ago to?
That one I think was the MTF grant. But this is PennDOT, just came out, it's called a Smart Grant Traffic Signal Sensor. And we might have the ability to look into that for our only traffic signal.
We'll look into that.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. And our solicitor?
I don't have much to report beyond what we've talked about. We've worked on the ordinances. We also have been working very closely with the borough secretary on a series of right-to-know requests. We continue to get those, but we have, I think, a good system in place, working with our finance officer as well, on a lot of these records. That's it.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And we've now moved on to the Call to Citizens portion of our program. We are live streaming. I will invite you to withhold saying your address aloud, but please write it on the paper on the podium for the sake of our secretary.
Hi, Judy Saunders. I don't care, 62 East Cheltenham Road. With the rec committee, at the last rec committee meeting, we realized that we weren't doing raffles properly, that we needed a 501c, which I think is really good knowledge for us to have, and I'd love to move forward with this. Since we don't know, and Councilwoman Percival had expressed at that meeting that she's very familiar with it, having been the manager of the Borough of Upland. Is there some way that under the umbrella of the council, we can move forward with getting that? So the next time, when I spend 4 months getting raffle items, we can actually earn money off them instead of giving them away for free. I don't know how you go about it, but is that something that's under the umbrella of the borough? Maybe under rec?
Ms. Percival, if you want to explain, you explained it so well at the rec committee meeting.
A 501c3 can be used for a civic association, an independent organization away from our borough government. You need to contact actually online with the IRS now. You used to be able to do it by manual forms, but now everything is done online. There's a packet you can download. I think it's 23 pages.
I've already seen it. What I'm asking is if we're raising it through the rec committee.
The Recreation Committee is a part or a branch of the borough's government.
So with that, they would be
It would
able to
not.
do it?
It would not.
So
But
when
you
we
can
were doing the
create-
raffles, we were doing it wrong.
But
Okay, that's a little.
there could be a civic association an independent fundraising organization. I mean, there's numerous ways to be able to apply. If you look at the 501c3 instructions, they ask you which category, and they go
I
through.
did read through that. I was just
Yeah.
wondering
Which
if we were
category?
doing it under the umbrella of the rec committee or to raise money for the rec committee. Would that be something that the council would be involved in? Or is that something that has to be separate from the council entirely?
As far as I'm aware, with the 501c3 is that it's an independent of a government. It's an independent organization from the government. Our recreation committee is sponsored by tax dollars. So that if somebody gives a donation, then that's permissible. To raffle or gamble would not be permissible, as unfortunately we've all learned.
Right, well, incidental raffles during the event and not pre-selling raffle tickets would not require a gaming license. That would still be covered under a 501c. I just wanted to, just so that we can, if we as volunteers want to raise money for the community, so we can continue to the events, you know. Movie nights aren't cheap, community days, bounce houses are not cheap, you know? So just if we could do that, I just don't know, I would ask that maybe, because you know what you're talking about, that maybe we do some sort of civics thing that would be under the purview of the rec committee and maybe work on it?
One of the things I could suggest to Mr. Costigan, council is going into budget time. And that because of the raffle situation, maybe he could suggest an increase in the budget so that funds would not necessarily be needed through raffles.
Just through donations.
Donations.
And then we could just do the raffles like we did this time.
Yes, and
where
that
it's
worked
just
out,
for
people
the-
were thrilled with that.
Yeah, they don't spend any money.
But it might be something that the taxpayer, you know, the taxpayer's budget would want to be increased so that the raffles were no longer a necessity.
Okay, wonderful, thank you.
And also, I do plan on working with Ms. Burstall, because she is much more knowledgeable than I am about this, to, well, not, just to ask your
Thank you
advice,
so much.
advice and consent, of what we can do about a civic association, longer term, but hopefully we'll be able to get some more money for next year.
Sarah Haynes, 18 Beechwood Road. Thank you for explaining the light situation. I didn't know that funds were different. There is one LED light on the street next to us, and it's where the dance studio is. If anybody wants an idea of what the LEDs are going to look like, I would like it to be warmer, the lighting. Also, I have a question for budgeting. I don't know if you have this information in front of you, but I was wondering how much the borough has spent so far on solicitor fees.
We can get that for you. Send it over to you.
Wait, would she have to do a right to know request?
Yes, a right to know request, please. Send it over to office at Parks Borough.
There's forms.
You have a
Lots of
response?
forms.
I do. When council gets a report from our treasurer. And a lot of times I will make notes for myself as to where we are with certain categories, or if something's over a specific 100%. As of date, we've spent $30,115.10 for the solicitor.
$30,000 in solicitor fees so far?
Yes, ma'am.
And how much were we told that we were going to pay in the beginning of the year when we hired the solicitor for the year?
Can I say something? Because a big portion, I mean, there's a certain, when we were talking about hiring the solicitor, there's what they cover council business and what our requests are, and they answer our questions. That's included in their retainer. The reason the fees are so much higher, most of it is because of right to know requests. We've had, I don't know, 30 some right to, I mean, it's ridiculous. I think it's ridiculous personally. I shouldn't. So that's the reason, because then they have to spend time finding this information out. The treasurer has to spend money tracking these numbers down. I mean, that's really why the numbers are so high, because it's their time, both the treasurer and the solicitor, to answer those. And so I would just ask members of the community, I mean, you can get that information maybe in different ways, but you're costing the borough more money by submitting these right to know requests. So I would ask people, to be cognizant of that, right to know requests cost money because somebody has to do the work to find it. So, sorry.
Well, the community voted these council members to all agree on a solicitor, and not everybody on council agreed to hire these solicitors. I called Marcus Hook and asked them what they spent on their solicitor, and it's $1,000 a month. And it's also one of their residents. So the money's going back into the township, and it's $12,000 a year. And so far, it's $30,000, and we're not even through the year yet.
And again, the reason that ours is higher, I would imagine Marcus Hook probably doesn't have 5 to 10 right to know requests a month, because they maybe get along with their council and their government and each other better. I don't know. I mean, I understand we have a divided community here, but that community day was not divided.
Has anybody looked into Eddystone and how their budget was raised when they hired these solicitors?
We would be over budget regardless of who the solicitor is.
If it was one of our residents, I feel like they wouldn't be charging our borough that much.
Try again.
Wills didn't even touch this.
Will's had
By
a
this
year
time.
where he was almost double what he was because of right to know request. Did he not, Councilwoman Percival? Did he not have in 1 year because of right to know request? Did Mr. Wills as a solicitor have a much higher payment out because of right to
But
know
I'm
request? It's
talking
been
to
mentioned
council
here.
right now. Any solicitor who has to deal with right to knows will charge more, and I don't have Mr. Wills's old bills. And in defense of our solicitor, we have had 20 or 30 right to knows since the spring.
And with
And our
these,
treasurer, don't forget that she's been involved also.
and with these changes of ordinances, whose idea was that? And who's getting paid for this? And who knows all the information about it?
I believe it was required.
It
by
just
the
seems
state.
like to me, it's like a salesman and you guys are falling for it.
And the idea is to protect ourselves from liability.
I noticed many years ago that our, when the building code is referred to the 2004 code or the 1997 BOCA code, which doesn't even exist anymore, and that's in our ordinances, that's incorrect. I work with the Energy Conservation Code on a daily basis and have, come to understand the various code cycles. And I was the one, as head of the ordinance committee, that initiated that we should review our municipal ordinances to make sure they're consistent with the state, because it didn't seem right to me. And then speaking with Rudolph Clark, they confirmed what I thought was wrong. And so, nobody's trying to run up a bill on the solicitors. Like, we have costs, and if Mr. Wills had done it when previously, then we wouldn't have had to pay for it this year. It's just.
That's not correct, because the code that you changed this evening, we adopted a code that said all future UCC, ICC books codes will go forward.
But
Mr. Amuso stated, as he did again tonight, that there was litigation to show that we needed to update that this year because of the litigation. So don't put it back onto last year. We needed to update that because of litigation through our solicitor brought to our attention.
We needed it.
Are we being charged for 2 solicitors right now?
No, in fact, this all falls under the retainer, so we could have 5 people here, it would be the same amount. But we never charge for 2 people.
Because when we go over the retainer.
So you don't go over the retainer. So the retainer covers these meetings, or when we get emails from borough council members and we respond to them. It covers a lot and covers a lot more than the retainer. If you look at the monthly bills, the general fund, which is the retainer, will say no charge. We see how many hours we've put. I mean, every month the borough is saving at least half. Like if the retainer is a little less than 2,000, we've actually done probably $4,000 or $5,000 worth of work. We cap it at the 2,000.
I think it's 1666.
Right.
Is our monthly fee.
I'm gonna have to, educate myself more. And then finally, a common theme I'm seeing is everybody's digging up things from everybody's past all the time. And I would just like, as a community, for all of us to come together and come from this point forward and stop pulling up all the crap from the past and get along.
Lisa Cosharel, East Avon Road. I just have a couple of brief things. Just one to say something about, it's kind of, I don't know, a slap to residents to say that I understand that right to knows cost money, but if we could get access to information that should be public already, we wouldn't have to file so many right to know reports. Things like salaries for public officials, municipal employees are all supposed to be public information that is readily available. And I know that's just one part of what some people have been asking for. So that's all I just wanted to say, that if maybe there was more communication and more transparency, we wouldn't have to go that route. And also just to remind everybody, the Parkside Food Drive is this coming Monday, September 26th. So if you have anything you would like to donate, I did post online some needs from the Media Food Bank. We come to your house, so send me a message or let me know in some way, and I or another volunteer will pick it up from your front door or your porch if it's raining. And we deliver it. It's a very easy way to donate. So if you're ever out shopping and you pick up a few items, let me know. Also, in the past, we have also helped families who in our borough who might need some extra assistance. So if you know of anyone, like a mom, who's struggling, or any family that might need some, they could really use some extra milk, or they could use some diapers, or they could use whatever, or anything like that, let us know. And then we will keep everything confidential, and we do porch drops, drop it on their porch. So we did that quite a bit during the early the first year of the pandemic, when so many people were really struggling. So just wanted to remind you about that. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Margaret LaRue. I live in the Green Tree condominium complex, and I'm here about a deeply disturbing incident that occurred on August 31st involving a resident of Brookhaven who was walking several dogs, most of hers and her neighbor's dog. And there were 2 dogs that attacked them. 1 dog was killed. 2 were very seriously injured. A Parkside resident dog was also attacked in the same vicious outing. And I did contact the Parkside Police Department out of just sheer concern and horror. And I was informed that the animals were returned to their owners that evening. I'm deeply concerned as to why the woman that was walking her dog was bitten also. So a personal injury as well as the dog injuries. I was informed by Parkside Police, or referred rather, to contact the Brandywine SPCA, who would be investigating. I did that, and I was informed by them that they weren't even informed of the incident that evening, and did have somebody looking into it, but weren't really able to shed any more light other than that. They advised me to contact the PA Dog State Animal Warden, which I did, And I don't have that person's name handy, but that person has not returned my call as of yet. It is apparently that person's determination as to when a dog can be deemed a dangerous dog. And if so, euthanized. I got the same information from the Department of Health. I know 2 of the 3 victims whose dogs were attacked. Again, both Brookhaven residents, who had both informed me that there were multi-jurisdictional issues because the first attack occurred in Chester Park. So Chester apparently doesn't have an animal control. Their police department was investigating the incident. Parkside only became involved because a Parkside resident's dog was attacked, and those injuries apparently were not as serious, but still attacked. The dogs had been out in the past. I've seen them out in the past, not on leashes. I was informed that I saw them going after another dog a couple of years ago, and I took that dog into my house. And I called the police at that time. So the 2 Brookhaven residents are concerned because they feel as though they're getting a runaround and they're not residents of Parkside, and their police department doesn't have any authority. So they've expressed some concern. And I guess, like, for me, I just rescued my dog a month ago. So 2 weeks before this incident, my dog is 24 pounds. These dogs, one was over 100 pounds. I think the other over 80. So I guess my concern here is, how were these dogs returned? They didn't have rabies shots. So the victim had to get a rabies shot. So how is this, how did it get to where these dogs were returned when there were known irresponsible owners after this level of viciousness? And I was told by the police officer, and I appreciate the information, I do, but that there had to be due process. And I understand that. I issue due process as in my profession. However, with due process, if somebody is deemed a danger to the community or to society, then there should be extra steps that should have been taken. And I just, the horror of what these victims went through. These 2 of the dog, 1 was killed, 2 had to go have major surgeries, were critical for a week, in the hospital for a week. The 1 just got stitches out. I mean, the injuries are horrific. The injuries to the owners, mentally, the trauma. This woman was such a well-known person in our community, wonderful, responsible dog ownership, knew her dog, always had them on a leash, always cleaned up after them. We never see her anymore unless we go up. She used to walk all around. The fittest person with the best walked dogs ever. Now she's afraid to walk, so she has to have 4 or 5 people with her to walk. I don't blame her. But this is supposed to be a safe community, and we should be able to walk our dogs. This didn't happen at 2 a.m. It happened on the first night after the heat wave at around 6 p.m.-ish, give or take. Full lights out. And the dogs were apparently out long enough to go from Chester to Parkside to it took quite a while before they were caught. And I just can't for the life of me understand. And when I spoke to the SPC Valley, the Brandywine Valley, SPCA, I was told that they weren't involved until the next day. That really concerns me that there was a return. And I'm an animal lover, and I understand due process, but with no rabies shots, getting out, I just can't. So I'm hearing it now. I noticed on the site, and this seems to be a bone of contention, but I feel as though I want to put a right to know in. I mean, I would refer to that as a FOIA request. I guess it's the same type. But what happened? What went wrong? Did somebody not connect the dots that there's a real danger here? That, what if it was a kid walking a dog? I mean, kids walk dogs. And I just can't imagine anything, well, there are many things that, the horror and how did it get to that point? I heard informally, and this is unconfirmed, that one of the dogs was euthanized. I heard that last week. It's, again, I don't know who to ask. I've gotten some different information from different entities. The victims in the case have expressed the same to me. I know both of them. 2 out of 3, I don't know the third. So again, my concern in coming here, along with some other neighbors in our community, is just how can we prevent this and what went wrong?
I don't disagree with you. I don't want to put you on the spot if you don't have an answer, but I wanted to give you a chance if you had anything to add.
Sure. I mean, so I was on vacation when this incident happened. From my understanding, there was a little confusion as to where this took place initially. I think that was part of the problem with the delay. When we found out that it was in our jurisdiction, it took time because the victim had to go to the hospital, the dog had to go to the hospital, so it was handled the next day. So that's why there was a delay that evening. Brandywine Valley is involved. They handle all of our dangerous dog issues, as well as other issues we have. So I'm not sure why or where that information came from, but they are aware of the incident. Our reports.
Yeah,
No, they were advised the next day. The reports were faxed to them. I mean, they're on this case. I'm not sure why they would say they're not.
Well, I spoke to the head, I forget the title, but he's the lead officer, and he told me there's another officer, Officer Jackson, that's actually handling. And they referred me back to Parkside Police Department. So
We can certainly look into what's going on and make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to do.
Give a complete runaround.
That's what it sounds
Well,
like.
who's gonna take accountability?
Yeah,
These were completely unprovoked
I mean,
attacks.
should we feel unsafe
Vicious.
on
There
our
could have
streets?
been
Is
a
there
baby in
or
a
should we live
stroller.
in fear because you guys don't want to handle this?
Look, I understand your concern and your fear. We do what we can as far as making the street safe. The officer did come out the next day from Brandywine Valley. They were given strong guidelines as to how to keep their dog. Their dogs aren't even supposed to be seen until the court proceedings go through. That's how they handle it. We can't just take someone's dog. That's just not how it works.
Have you been in touch with the PA State Animal Warden? Because they can.
We use Brandywine Valley. That's who we're
Are you
contracted with.
familiar, or does anyone here, because there is a PA State Animal Dog Warden, and they do this. So has anyone, because it seems like you, and I'm not trying to be difficult, I've always had great responses when, but a little confusion,
And I understand the fear.
I just find that
I've been there
unacceptable.
myself. It's not comforting knowing that you can walk out of your house and you have that fear that you'll be attacked by another dog. I have that fear myself. I do understand where you're coming from. We certainly can look into why this is, where it's at, and maybe we can provide an update to the community to ease your attention or your concerns.
And my other concern is, have you?
Can I interject one thing about the state animal warden? There's a hierarchy where it starts at the police level. Then if we have a designated animal control person, which we do through Brandywine, then our animal control person contacts the state, and that's the hierarchy of how it goes.
But that isn't what Brandywine SPCA expressed to me. So there is a lot, and the two victims have both expressed they feel as though they're getting a runaround, and that they keep hearing, well, this jurisdiction, and you don't live in Parkside, and this happened in Chester. I mean, I'm a former victim advocate, so I don't understand how all this information cannot be going to the victims and the community. I mean, if these dogs have gotten out in the past, and they have, and they've killed, then how is the community not? We have nice weather for a change. All the dogs want to be out. How can we prevent this, or at least like a heads up, avoid? I think you can't avoid it. Well, you can't avoid it, but you could avoid a street, you could avoid
We have to be responsible dog owners.
Yeah.
We have to follow the laws. There's laws in place that are supposed to
Can
prevent
I
this.
say something? Well,
Sure.
also, my name is Ashley German. I'm also a resident of Green Tree. And I looked up, Pennsylvania animal law and statute 459-502, dog bites, detention and isolation of dogs, confinement, any dog which bites, attacks a human, which was happened, viciously shred a beautiful little Bichon, and
Not her oldest one.
all yes, Daisy.
Yes.
So blah blah blah. It shall be confined in quarters approved by a designated employee of the Department of Health, a state dog warden, or employee of the Department of Agriculture, an animal control officer, or a police officer. So where's that? You said police officers are not after these
Brandywine Valley is.
vicious attacks the day of. I'm not talking today, 3 weeks later.
This is
Like this,
that's
I live down the block. I have a 15-pound-old dog just like Daisy, and now I don't feel safe letting her out back on a lead because these dogs live up the road and have been returned. Like I carry pepper spray gel with me, and all this my peace of mind. Not only just like thinking about poor Patty and the trauma that I still am just so shaken up by this. And I'm a dog lover, but this is for the safety of all the dogs to these vicious animals. There could have been a baby in a stroller that had some kind of cracker or some bullshit, and these dogs attacked the child, and then what? Then what are you gonna say? I find it absolutely appalling how this has been handled, and I don't feel safe in my home, which is right down the freaking street, because these dogs have been returned the day of, and it's just I think, am I pinching myself? Is this really happened? Who the hell's gonna take accountability? And I mean, Patty's like a icon in this neighborhood. She rescues dogs, and then she has such well behaved all these rescues, and then just boom, her life is just.
Is there any way we could possibly do an email blast where we update what is going on? We don't have to mention who the dogs belong to or anything. Obviously, there's privacy issues, but maybe if it wasn't everybody just being scared and not having information, the mayor could follow up with the police as to how far they're doing, or maybe follow up with the animal control to see what the process is to escalate. I feel like I'm a dog walker too, and my dogs are wimps, so they would not last in a street fight at all. Not at all. And it's scary because I walk them by myself 90% of the time.
And there was no warning. They came behind the dogs.
So
it wasn't a fight.
Maybe we gave people information.
Let's go ahead with that. Mayor, if you could follow up with the police, only because we have kids who have to get up for school.
Of course.
So, I appreciate it, and I think we'll try to get some information out. I don't disagree with you. I myself was shocked that the family was able to take the dogs back but due process.
Yeah, was one of the dogs euthanized? Can you confirm that?
I cannot confirm that. All of our dog cases get handled by Brandywine Valley. We immediately turn it over and they investigate. That's how we're contracted with Brandywine Valley. Again, I do understand your concern. I empathize with the victims. I myself have lost a sense of security walking my dogs after this incident, so I'm not diminishing what you guys are experiencing. It just so happens that how we handle these things within the borough of Parkside, we have a contract with an agency that handles those issues. I apologize on behalf of the police department. We can definitely inform the community a little better, so you guys are aware. We are investigating it. We're doing what we can do to ensure the safety of the community. So I will look into where we're at with it and see if we can provide an update to the community.
I appreciate that. And one other, and I don't mean to clip, but can somebody contact the two victims since they don't seem to be getting information?
So
Since
part of that is one incident happened in Chester. Our animal control will not investigate that. The incident that happened in the borough, we have been in communication with our victim. Unfortunately, they are victims. The other people are victims. They're just not our victims. We asked our animal control to investigate, and they will not do that because they don't have a contract with Chester.
Wait.
This is absolutely
Yeah,
ridiculous
I mean,
that
they're Brookhaven residents.
the victims have to go through extra trouble to get these costs covered, these thousands of dollars.
I understand your anger and your concern, but our animal control, and even us, we don't have jurisdiction everywhere in the county. We have jurisdiction here in Parkside. So an incident, if a borough resident was robbed in Chester, you can't come to Parkside to report that. We can refer you to Chester, but we can't investigate that. It's not our jurisdiction.
No,
And the same goes for a dog bite. I understand that the Brookhaven residents or Parkside residents, if it doesn't happen in Parkside, we can't investigate, neither can our animal control.
no, and I'm not asking to investigate, can they have some information? They're not getting.
Sure.
It's-
And I have provided police
Yeah.
reports. If they have questions, we're certainly open to answering the questions.
Okay,
We'll
so
give them
they-
information, sure.
Okay.
Can I ask one question? I'm so sorry, can't you work in conjunction with Chester since it was all the same attack?
We have provided Chester our police reports with our information. What they have an open investigation. That's just one that we can't really work in conjunction.
But can you coordinate it? No?
The only thing that we can do is provide the information that we have on our end.
Because
Thank you
this
so much.
case was handled so poorly, like I'm investigating getting a permit to carry. Because
Yeah.
I will do whatever I have to protect my dog, is like my daughter. You know, I don't have children. She is my baby, and I'll do whatever I can. And like, I know that dog could kill me,
That's what people are gonna be encouraged to, that's what's going through my mind too. Do you want people out walking their dogs with permits? I mean, is that, I'm not.
Is something
Is
amusing
it
over
something
there?
or-
Or, I don't know, this
You
is.
should definitely get a permit to carry. I did not dismiss this. This is actually the first I'm hearing of it. And I'm sorry if the police matter, but no, I was not making light of it. I believe you should have your permit to carry.
I just think that's the wrong message we wanna send to people in the community. I mean, walking dogs.
I apologize, guys, we've been on this for quite a while now. The people.
Sorry to
that are
inconvenience you.
No, not an inconvenience at all.
I'm happy to speak to you guys up here.
Victim number 3, my dog was attacked. They don't care.
Okay, shh, people.
So I'm victim number, technically victim number 1.
She's one of the victims.
Thank you so much for sharing the details. Unfortunately, they are muddy. The police has been there that night. It happened up August 30th, not the 31st. The police were contacted. They were contacted immediately and they did get on it. They worked as fast as they can. What happened was my dog got hit first. Patty's dog and Colleen's dog got hit second, okay? And what happened was these 911 calls came. I ran to get to the vet, and the dogs in Chester Park got hit. And so the police directly went to them first. So everybody's doing what they have to do. There is some issues going on. I do think the communication could have been better. The residents do need to hear whether the dogs are alive, still running around.
Right.
I personally used to walk my dog 7 times a day around the block, around East Roland to Shelton, every day. I don't do that anymore. You're not going to see me until I know what's going on with those dogs. I am terrified, and I am not normally a fearful person at all. But this whole situation, I'm not sleeping. The psychotic things that are going on in my head because of this, it's terrible. So something does happen to happen. I really would like to see also reminders. There are so many dogs, East Cheltenham specifically, in the past, since the beginning of the summer, I have had dogs come at me. Fortunately, they were kind. The Akita I've met before did not attack my dog initially. It was not the Akita at first, was the aggressor. The other dog, the shepherd, was the aggressor. So I just want to let that be known too. And then that day they had their high prey drive. They were just attacking together. So that was just an anomaly. It was a terrible, terrible incident. So I just want everybody to please calm down. And I would love for Parkside to maybe in their communication, remind our residents, put your damn dogs on a leash.
Right.
Close your fences.
Amen.
Make sure those dogs, my dog used to get out all the time. You know what I did? I put a new 5-foot fence up because I needed to do that. I had a puppy at the time who he was like a Houdini. And that's just what it is, right? But the reason why my dog did not get so brutal, because he's not a Bichon, he's a pit bull, and he stood up for himself. However, he still had his shoulders ripped apart and everything else. So yeah, he's good now. He's healthy, he's happy. He walked away from the fight, wagging his tail and having that beautiful smile that he does. But still, please just keep your dog on the leash. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else?
Yes. Me. Okay, so you all know about the issues with the raffles. So I wasn't able to sell any more raffles for our Hometown Hero banners. But everybody that did give me donations for the raffles ended up allowing me to keep the donations. We put a little donation jar outside for Community Day. Tonight, I'm giving Christine $991 to go towards our Hometown Hero banners. Great. October 4th, we put together doing a parkside walk. So we couldn't do, it's too much paperwork to really do in getting like a town watch, so we're doing a parkside walkers. We're gonna start that October 4th at 5:30. We're gonna start outside the borough and then walk. We'll figure out where we're gonna go. And then October 8th, I'm doing my cleanup. That'll be a cleanup again, from 10 to 1. And then can I address one thing and then I'm done? Last month, I watched the council meeting from last month when they were speaking about the leak that got out to Mr. Bennett in reference to the police. Mrs. Brandt had come up and questioned about who all knew. Well, there was only the few of us that knew the schedule, which was myself and the chief and the officers putting the schedule together. But any of the information that came from Mr. Bennett did not come from anybody here in Parkside. I did speak to Mr. Bennett, and he said it came from somebody in Brookhaven. So I just wanted to clear that, and nothing came out of, no rumors, nothing came out of Parkside. That's all I have to say.
All right. Anyone else? Oh, yeah, all right. Darn it. Old business, new business?
So, there, the community bulletin board we talked about last month. We did get a estimated cost for shipping. And I want to thank Kyle Palmer for putting in the effort to do that. So I sent that to all of council, I think last week sometime. The cost, I would suggest we do just the sign and, Mr. Powers, I think we were talking about it last month. Would it be possible to hang that on the side of the garage? I'm sure it
You
would
want
be.
to tell everyone what you're talking about?
Yeah, sure, sorry. I was trying to make it quick so we could get out.
I know.
But, so last month we talked about purchasing a community bulletin board. So this would be somewhere around in this area outside that people can access 24/7. What's going on in the community, important updates. So certainly this situation with the dog would be something that would definitely be put in there. Just important things to know, because I know a lot of our residents aren't on Facebook, fortunately for them. They, aren't on social media and email, things like that. So this would be a place for people to go to get information. So I would suggest that we do the sign without the posts because it's much cheaper. And the cost of that is $525.10. I think that's pretty reasonable, and I think we would definitely get good use out of it, especially for those people who, I know even though we're putting things out on Facebook, sometimes people don't hear about it or, they're not on Facebook. So this would be a good way for people to get the information.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion that we purchase a outdoor community bulletin board.
Anyone?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion?
Might be needed, Ilg Island.
You want to put it on the island?
I think we need to deal with that. It would be, we can hang stuff in the windows here
Yeah,
as far as that goes and the doors open and all that, but,
Or put it at Cole Memorial as part of the grant, as part of the program.
that's not a bad.
I mean, if we're trying to be a walking community and things like that, they're welcome here as well. But,
Yeah,
you know.
I mean, I was just thinking, because this is kind of central located, I mean, wherever, that would be fine too. I don't really have a particular place in
People
mind.
drop their kids off at school, so they would see it if it's near here.
Well, with that idea, I mean, the idea of maybe putting it at the West Gold, because that is where a majority of the crossing does take place for schools.
Okay, so
And if we're gonna do that, then I think we need to amend the motion to go with the sign with the post, because there's no physical structure to go in there.
and how much more would that be?
It was, 924.
Another $400?
Yeah, that's, I mean, that's how much.
I
see 970.
Well, because this is including the tax, so
It's
we
without tax.
don't have tax.
I said, okay.
So, I mean, if that's what council wants to do.
Do we
I'm
want to
open
make a
that also.
decision right now? Or do we want to discuss it some more? Because it sounds like,
Yeah, we can,
I'm not just trying to get out of here.
No, I
but,
hear you.
You know,
Yeah.
I am also trying to get out of here.
yeah, so then I'll make a motion to table the, bulletin.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Thank you. Is there anything else? Old business,
New
new business?
New business. As council's aware, I'm sure, Delcora with Aqua has been an ongoing event. We've talked about it since 2020. And we have, as a borough council, has not supported the sale of Delcora to Aqua. Multiple litigations has been ongoing. September 15th of this year, 2 court decisions have stacked the legal favor on the side of Aqua, with more regulatory steps ahead, including the PUC. Currently, we have a contract with Delcora that expires 11/17 of this year, even though I've been advised that this will continue as is. But my thought is, since Rudolph Clark, our current solicitor, is involved in litigation.
Yeah, I was where we were going with this. So we are, our firm is litigation counsel for Delcora. So-
Yes, I'm aware.
Okay, but I just want to make sure everyone else is.
I was
aware.
getting it,
Okay.
yeah. Rudolph Clark LLC is involved in the litigation between Delcora and Aqua. And I would like council to obtain a special legal counsel to protect our interests as the borough and our residents, because this litigation is coming hopefully forth to an end. And since we do have a contract specific to Delcora, like many other communities such as Swarthmore, Upland, our assets in this adventure needs to be protected. And I'd like to propose a special counsel for this to protect our rights as well as our residents here. There is one attorney, and I can mention it to Mr. Amuso, that has been involved with several of the local municipalities to protect their interests with their contract expiring.
Okay. I think we can discuss that further. I don't know that we need to make a decision tonight. Are you
I
asking
think
for a
that we need to
decision
move
tonight?
forward as soon as possible with our contract, even though I've been advised that it will continue as is. But our contract expires November 17th of this year.
And what are the terms of that contract?
I'm not sure what you mean by the terms, but
What, they agree to take our sewage water away and.
That's
and we
correct.
agree to pay them.
well, that's pretty much it. But we have an independent contract with Delcora, as many municipalities do. Some do not, but we do have an independent contract, meaning we own a portion, we own the sewer lines.
What did the other municipalities have?
I've spoken with another municipality, and they also have special legal counsel to protect their rights.
I mean, you were saying we have our own contract as
Yes,
opposed to
for-
others?
January 1st, 1975, actually. The contract goes between the Borough of Parkside and Delcora. It was, I'm trying to see the date. We did update it March 20th of 1985. And it basically is, I don't know if all council has seen this contract.
No.
Okay. So it's basically, we own the lines. The borough agrees to comply with Delcora regulations on sewer usage, to fully cooperate with Delcora in administration and enforcement of such regulations, and to adopt such ordinances as may be responsible required by Delcora. If council remembers, we did adopt through the Planning Commission the resolution that was required for the Planning Act number 437, alternative number 2, which was passed December 15th of 2020.
That's the tunnel project.
That's the alternative number 2, that's correct. But the contract itself, the agreement of sale and service for this borough goes all the way back to 1975 with an expiration date coming up. Because of the litigation with Aqua and Delcora and and Mr. Amuso, you're involved in the litigation. My understanding on September 15th, there was 2 court decisions that basically are leaning towards the sale of Delcora to Aqua. And because we have a private agreement with the borough of Parkside and Delcora, we need to make sure that whatever's in this agreement is protected for our residents.
And you're concerned that because they're working for,
Well, yeah, look, to be
It's
clear,
inappropriate.
No, 100%.
It's
We're not-
inappropriate, Mr. Amuso will agree.
Yeah, we're not gonna, we can't advise you
No.
on some concern that you have with Delcora as we are also Delcora's attorneys. So
okay.
there's that.
That's why I'm asking for special legal counsel.
But there's no, but I guess it's who and what, I mean, are you asking the council to approve something tonight? Because then we'd have to vote to add that, and then we probably should a little more specificity about that.
I'd like to discuss this in the meantime, and we can bring it up again at the next meeting, which is October.
I will send council the name of a special counsel who is representing not numerous, but several other municipalities who have the same type of independent agreement with Delcora. And that Madam President or Mr. Vice President or myself, somebody needs to, hopefully council agrees to reach out to that individual solicitor and see if he can make sure that our assets are totally covered in this agreement.
Okay, I'll look for your email. Thank you. Is there anything else?
Ma'am, may I ask if our secretary, I know we don't have a copier, but you should have this sale agreement and service dated January 1st, 1975 in your Delcora file. If we could get council a copy of that said agreement in the next couple weeks, please.
I will look for it. I will look for it.
If you can't find it, let me know and I'll bring over mine.
Okay, I will look for it. It's
Okay,
in the
thank
attic,
you.
probably.
You want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ken, you did really well.